Hello, thanks for joining us again. This is Mike Berger with NC Planning. I wanted to bring you another update regarding the Federal Trade Commission's recent proposed rule to ban non-compete agreements throughout the United States. If you've tuned into our previous videos, as we've been getting our arms around this potential new legislation that is in the works, we've been bringing you some updates regarding the Federal Trade Commission's proposed rule and the commentary around that rule. Today, what I wanted to touch on was the role of employees versus independent contractors. We had a question, and first of all, I want to thank you for tuning in, but also for your interaction with us on the YouTube channel. That really helps us understand what you, our viewership, and the community have as the most top-of-mind questions regarding this topic and other topics we may be reporting on. So thank you for that interaction. If you have questions, I welcome them, and we'll do our best to either respond in the comments or maybe elaborate on a little bit with a video like this one. So again, that's what this video is purposed to do. It's really to respond to that question that we received regarding whether or not the FTC proposed rule is going to apply to independent contractors as well as employees. The short answer is yes, it looks that way. I think we had a quick kind of canned response in the comments that it depends, and that is true. The first thing I want to touch on is that this is a proposed rule, right? The Federal Trade Commission has put this out there as a proposed rule change to ban non-compete agreements, but it is not yet a final ruling or law. What is happening now is that proposed rule is being opened up for comments by the public, and we will see over the next 60 days probably some reshaping of this proposed rule. But currently, as it stands, the rule that was proposed on January 5th, 2023 is in fact intended to impact both employees of a W-2 nature as well as independent contractors of a 1099 nature. To just get a little bit more granular with this, I go to the rule itself, and we can drop a link in the description so that you can access the rule, but this is from the Federal Trade Commission's website, non-compete clause rulemaking. They give a nice overview, and then I really get into the definition section, which is 910.1 of the proposed rule definitions. And the first thing we want to look at is that an employer, right, is any person that's going to be defined, etc. Employment means work for an employer as that term is defined. And what the rule does is it's restricting any non-compete clause. It defines non-compete clause in the definition section as well. And that means, quote, a contractual term between an employer and a worker that prevents the worker from seeking or accepting employment with a person or operating a business after the conclusion of the worker's employment with the employer, end quote. And so we've looked quickly at the definition of employer, right, or business entity or company. That's going to be pretty obvious, right, who the employer is. I now want to underscore the word worker, right? They don't use the word employee. They're using the word worker. The definition section contains a specific definition of worker, which means, quote, a natural person who works, whether paid or unpaid, for an employer. The term includes, without limitation, an employee, individual classified as an independent contractor, extern, intern, volunteer, apprentice, or sole proprietor who provides a service to a client or customer, period, end quote. It goes on to talk about some distinctions between franchisees in context of a franchise-franchisor relationship, making that distinction. But broadly, we are looking at workers, non-compete agreements or contractual provisions between an employer, between a company, and a worker, that worker being either a W-2 employee or an independent contractor. So the breadth of this thing is quite broad. It's far-reaching. It touches on any and every industry. There are some small restrictions here, like I said, excluding franchisee and franchisor relationship. But if it's just a standard kind of employment agreement or independent contractor agreement between an employer and an employee, or between an employer and an independent contractor. And assuming the proposed rule goes forward, yes, that those relationships would be affected. Notwithstanding that, again, the rule is currently in the comments phase. It is not yet final law. There are also litigation proceedings that are happening as we speak. And so there's a lot still to be determined as to what the final shape of this thing will look like. But we will continue to bring you updates as they become relevant and answer your questions. So again, thank you for tuning in. Please let us know if you have questions or comments or would like us to speak on anything further in the future. And we'll see you again soon.